So, g'day everyone. Once again, welcome to my garage gym office setup that I've had for the past 8 weeks now. Today, I'm extremely privileged to have someone that I've admired for a long time to come and chat to us. Hopefully, I get all this right. So, Lance had been in the police for 22 years. Just told me now that he'd been a chippy builder for 20 years as well. 13 years experience within the police force as specialising as a crisis negotiator and also instructing at police college. Published this book, which I would recommend to absolutely anyone. You pretty much see it's all dog-eared, and I've already got it pieces of paper in there for me to turn to pages and things like that. And now runs a successful business called Born International. So they are, or you are, Arts, helping businesses with wellbeing, communication skills, and I guess resilience training. So welcome, thank you for your time, and yeah, how you doing?
Yeah, look, hey, thanks for the opportunity, and it's something that I've seen I follow you, by the way, so I've seen some of your stuff, and I thought, gee, that'd be pretty cool to have a bit of a chat around what's going on and around, I guess, being able to help people, and that's really why I started the business, to be honest. I joined the police at the age of 35 after being a builder. I was an indentured builder and, tradesman, and ended up thinking, building's crap. And just at the time I was thinking of that, that John Banksy's 500 came out, and I always wanted to be a cop. So I joined the police and thought, this is going to be crazy. And then I had depression, and so, I look back and think, oh, was that a good choice? But it was, and so was having the depression, I guess. Has enabled me to learn a few things about myself, and then I come to when you come to the end of your police career, when you start arguing with everybody, and particularly senior officers. I was quite senior in the police, but I started speaking my mind, and you start getting called to account. So I thought, well, it's time to go. And my wife said, well, you seem to like standing in front of people talking. Why don't you do that? So I did.
Yeah.
And so that's led me to where I am now, and started off in the contact centre. I work at the 111 call centre, developing programs on resilience and how to engage with emotional people. And so I just started working. My first client, ANZ Bank, a friend of mine worked there, and he said, come and do some work with us for a couple of days. And started doing that. And then other people said, oh, have you thought of doing this? Have you thought of doing that? And of course, like every business, like what you do, it just evolves. And of course, I'm where I am now. And before the lockdown, I was very lucky. I was traveling Canada, Australia, across the Fiji and the islands. And so, yeah, it just grows. And it showed me with all of the stuff that we're going through, and that we can all do it. Look, grew up in a state home, all that usual story. The old man was in the Air Force, and, I was growing up with a web belt, all that. So it was the cliched stuff that you always hear.
Yes.
And it's true. I'm the cliched story.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing really well, but I'm comfortable. All my family work for me now. So I've got,
oh, wow.
Yeah. So all my children, they're all adults now, obviously,
Yep.
and they're all form part of the business. So my wife's doing all the books. One of my daughters does all the video e-learning stuff. Another one does all of the connections and marketing. And my son does all of my research and science stuff around, stuff, and they all post things. So yeah, I'm just living the dream without knowing what the dream was.
Yeah, exactly. I suspect over the past 6 or 7 weeks, you probably had to evolve very quickly as well.
Yeah, so and that's so as I was just saying, I've just finished my next book, and it's taken a number of years to get it together. I put it to one side so I could do another qualification, but then unfortunately we lost our niece to suicide, as it turns out, and so I thought it's time to get that book back out and finish it. And if there's one thing that comes out of that book is we are good at adapting. It's just that we don't adapt fast enough. Humans are probably the only species that have survived in every part of the world, bar none, because we learn. And just this it's within 5 minutes of me finding this research, it was around the fact that the way we adapt is through socialization, through social cultures, through our culture, and that culture is of talking with others.
Yes.
How simple is that? What have we been banging on about for weeks, for
Exactly,
months, for years?
exactly,
We
exactly.
need to start talking. Well, the science is in, and it's there, and that's how we've been able to evolve and adapt to where we are today. But we just need to do it a bit quicker, and how to do that is one of the things that we struggle with.
Yeah, exactly. I guess that's where businesses are. We'll have to pick up on that. And I think I remember Donna posting a question, and it was around that sort of thing. Is, well, how do we get businesses? I mean, we as the the minions, the workers, we know that talking and things like that, and will help with our well-being and everything like that. But how do we get businesses, those guys up in the suits, you could call them, to go, right, we have to open our wallet a little bit here to help our employees, rather than going, bottom line, you're in sales or whatever, you've got to go out and make KPIs, rah, rah, rah.
Yeah. So that's a really great question, and no one's ever actually asked it like in the way that you have, which has just twigged me. We've always talked about the people, right? The organisation is the people, and we know all that stuff. So how do we fix people? We train them, and now we're learning that it's what we train them. Yes, we do need to give them skills to do the job, right? But once we've done that, then what? But before then, the way to now we know is that we need to teach them emotional intelligence, emotional well-being. You know, you've heard all the different terms for it. I like to use the term adaptive resiliency, and we're now understanding that that should be the first foundation of what you teach people, and it should be taught in schools, right? So young people should be taught the ability that how to handle disappointment, how to know that we're all thinking the same things, how that we should be talking and doing and exercising and sleeping, and all those things should be taught at a very early age. And so it is a whole of organisation and a whole of business thing. You can say it is about the people, you know, he tangata, he tangata, he tangata. And I do love that mantra that Maori have, because they are true in their sense when they say that, because they mean the total purpose, the person.
Yeah.
Whereas businesses and organisations, I don't think they get that.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think they get that. Yes, it's all about our people. You know, I got asked to do a presentation once on how do we respond to emergencies, you know. It was for an article in an insurance magazine. I said the first thing is you look to your people and say, are you okay? Because you can do all the business resilience you want in the world. Oh, we're going to do this, we're going to start up over there, we're going to do, and you have all this stuff. But unfortunately, the people that are going to be doing that are screaming. They're breaking down inside. They're falling over. They're injured, whatever, you know. So it must be, let's focus on looking after each other first, and then let's do the other skills from then.
Yeah, yeah. And I'd love that when you said about schools. I guess, I mean, it was a while ago since I went to school to eat lunch and play sport, but I would have loved to have had like a well-being, a resilience type training. I mean, it's probably only been in the last 5 6 years that I've actually realised that you do learn resilience. You can learn resilience. It comes from everything. I thought, it's part of your makeup. It's part of your DNA. You're either resilient or you're not, sort of thing. And I'm like, well, actually, no. The stuff that I've been through, heart attack, obviously losing grandparents and things like that, losing friends to suicide, jobs, relationships, all that sort of stuff. That's actually building my resilience for next time something happens. And I was like, it's sort of just one day I was sort of clicked. And I'm like, actually, my whole life I've been learning to be resilient.
And that really is the key, Craig. It's about resilience can be taught. So we are all, what keeps us going is fear. Right, so that's what fear keeps us alive, and fear about everything in life. Fear of failure, fear of disappointment, fear of, you know, not getting things right, fear of loss, and fear of, you know, it's just all around fear, and that comes from that fight or flight. And you know, I fear dying when I go out to hunt and gather. That's where it all comes from. So now, but looking at fear, and I come from things from a different angle, as you may have seen, and so I say about fear. Fear is learned. So we do have some innate fears in us, but this is the thing that I'll say. What about if you put a young baby, a crawling baby, next to a swimming pool, chances are if you don't monitor that child, it will fall in the water and could drown, right? Because it's not, or, you know, how many times have you pulled the pot off you hear of kids, young toddlers pulling the pot off the stove because they don't know it's hot. So therefore, if it's learned, why are some people scared of spiders? Some people are scared of flying, you know, all these things, because they go with fear, right? And so we know that we can teach them not to have that fear through desensitization or immersion therapy. There's a whole lot of terms for it. So therefore, and that is learning to overcome fear is resilience.
Yeah.
Right? And so it can be learned. Now, the biggest impact on all of us is our environment that we grow up in. You know, nature versus nurture, it is nurture has the biggest impact on us all. And like you're saying, when we go through these little events that happen, you know, family members die and we go to funerals and we start to learn about life and death and things don't go quite so well, we have to be in a good place ourselves. And if we're looking after ourselves, then we'll get through those and we will learn. If we're not in a good place when those events happen, chances are we will start to erode our well-being, and chances are we'll have a bigger impact on our memory, which is what we all reflect on our day. So we're reflecting on ourselves the whole time that you and I are talking. You know, that's where our ideas come from. I'm coming up saying this now and you're thinking about a question from that or whatever. We do that all day. And so if we know that if you were to remember something significant that happened to you, and I'd like you to do that, something negative, you know, we call it the negative stuff, the emotional response changes inside of us. That's how strong memories are. And that's how strong things are. But we now know through neuroscience and through epigenetics and a whole lot of other things that we can start to change the way we see things. And it's going to have massive implications for depression, for PTSD, for all those trials and tribulations that we have in our life. And so resilience is a term that I'm not in favor with, because resilience means falling over and getting back up. So I talk about flexibility, buoyancy, adaptability. Don't like the word agility too much because it seems like we're jumping around. We don't want to jump around, but you know what I mean?
Yes,
again, it's a word that's better than, I think, resilience, but that's just, I always come from a different angle, I guess.
Yeah. And I guess as when you said think about something, you know, I started thinking about it and sort of, well, it wasn't just one moment. I could think back to multiple things that sort of stack up. And I think now I like to think I've got the tools in my toolbox to go, right, if there is something that gets in my way, like a roadblock or a speed bump or something I start going down into a bad place. I do have those tools now where I can actually go, I can sort things out, whereas 10, 15 years ago, I didn't. And it strips it back to that talking. It is opening up. And I do it a lot. I can talk about well-being, depression, suicide, a heck of a lot to people that probably might make them feel uncomfortable and things like that. But it's something I'm passionate about. It's like, well, it has saved me. So if I can pass that sort of on as well, and help one person, if I can help one person, then I know I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah, and you are. I know you are, and good on you for doing it, and good on for everybody else that is. So, and this is one of the messages I like to get out there. People like you and I have been given a gift, an insight into depression, an insight into suicidal ideations, an insight into being down in the hole. And that's a gift that we have to give back to others. It's a gift that, how did you get out of that hole, Craig? How did you get out of that hole, Lance?
Yeah.
And so we can give people little tools to say, well, you might want to try that one. See, when I run my workshops, I come up with about 30 or 40 different ways of managing your day. And I won't mention him. I'll mention he's now the CEO of WorkSafe. Actually said to me once in a session, and asked this question. He said, "You've given us lots of stuff here. If I was to do all of those, I wouldn't have time to work." And I thought, what a great question. So it's choosing what is right for you. Yeah. And it's people like you and I that have said, well, I did this, and I'll say, well, I did that. And somebody else will say, I did that. And somebody else might say, well, I'll use a bit of that and a bit of that and a bit of that. So, you know, we've been given a gift, and the gift now that we've been given a gift is to pass that gift on and to give people the ability to cope. When you were talking, and I don't want it to sound flippant, but this too shall pass. There's no better thing for me. So this morning I woke up in the shittiest mood that I've ever been in a long time. The world was against me, right? I've got this old camera that I've had to plug in because my other one broke, and I knew it was breaking, and I ordered a new one, and it's taken so long to get in. I just got an email saying it's not going to arrive for another 5 days, and something else happened with the book that I won't go into, and then something happened here, and then I got an email that was a bit of a shitty email, and next thing, in 5 minutes, I'm in this massive bad mood, and not really understanding why. And then something happened, and it's a personal thing, and it just completely, I just went, what have you been worrying about? What have you been doing? And that's how quickly things can, provided you're in a good space.
Yes, yeah.
Right? So if something happened to us, either you or myself, within our families or whatever now, we're in a pretty good place, and we'll get hit with it. But we're in a spot where we know how to deal with it, and that's the key, I think, is when you try and do what our brain says is, look, ignore it, you're fine, just keep working, you'll get through this, is the wrong thing to do, because you know that you can reach out to me and I can reach out to you, and we know that we can make a phone call and go, hey Craig, I'd say, hey Craig, not feeling too good, what do you reckon, mate? And we'll have a chat, right? And I know that, just like you, that I can do a few breathing exercises, and I can do this thing inside my head where I just say, shut up. I just like that. And inside my head, I just say, shut up. Or in fact, it's worse than that. And I'm not allowed to say it because it's recorded, but you can imagine what it is.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's to tell that voice that to do what it should do. And so teaching those skills to others is what we have to do. It's mandatory for us.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, for me, it's physical activity. Going out and getting on my bike or going doing some weights or something like that. It's one of those things that it helps me. It's not going to help. It doesn't help everyone. It could be reading a book, could be doing other things. That's what I tell people. It's like, okay, what works for me is X, Y, Z. It might not work for you. Let's work together. Let's talk about something you did as a youngster or a passion you had previously that you may have lost. Let's look at that and get back into that.
That's exactly right, because I get people a lot, and you'll probably get this too, saying, why don't you promote painting? Why don't you promote music? Why don't you promote jigsaw puzzles? Well, whatever rocks your boat. For me, it's about distraction. For me, it's about engaging the spiritual part of your brain, and you can do that in a myriad of ways. Prayer is good, mindfulness meditation, all that sort of stuff. But we know that music, we know that, the arts and crafts and any of those things that distracts us, but that we are continually focused in and does have a positive effect on our brain, is part of our spirituality. And so, that's why I put a little bit of a message out on Twitter, which I shouldn't really have done, I guess, but I just felt it was right to do at the time. And I don't want to get political, but, we're allowed to go to casinos, and we're allowed to apparently go to horse racing now, but we can't go to a funeral. A bit flippant. I don't want to get political on this, but certainly, and it's not what it was about. It wasn't a political thing, because I'm not a political person, but it was, let's go back to the person first. Let's go back to the people.
Yep.
And yes, there are people that work in those industries, absolutely 100%. But when comparing what we are allowed and what we're not allowed to do at the moment, I think it's just a little skewed one way or the other. I hope that comes out all right.
No, definitely. So, I mean, moving forward, what is going to be the new norm? I mean, we're coming out of level 3 tonight, going to level 2. I guess there are going to be anxieties around that. People are going to be anxious about, I guess, heading back to work or whatever the new norm is, in inverted commas.
Yeah.
And are we ever going to get back to what we were before? Was that a good place? Or have we got an opportunity now to go Control Alt Delete? Let's take what's good now and move that forward. Or
my thoughts are, my impressions are, right. So when we go into times of uncertainty, we have to compare, right? So that's how we, when we're doing things across our day, and we compare with the past and to try and predict the future. And so we've got nothing to compare to. And that's why a lot of us are tired at the end of the day and have been right up. The first month was like 3 months because we just sat around going, oh, I don't know. I don't know. And then our brain's working harder and our dreams are a little bit weird because our dreams are the day's processing of the day's events, right? And so our day was spent, I don't know, and worrying. And so, this is the new norm. So we're allowed to sort of go back to work, right? So we're not allowed to go back to the way it was. So, and that's why now everyone I've spoken to, who've been a few, don't want to go back to work at all.
Yeah.
Builders do want to go back to work, absolutely, but they are concerned about going back to work because of, they're unsafe. We still feel, should I be touching this? Should I? I've got back to doing some building just recently, and I pulled into one of the building supply yards and filled up the trailer, etc. And I said to the guy there, "How's it going?" He says, we just can't get our heads around this stuff." And no one can. He said, we're getting people coming the whole time, just pouring their hearts out, So we can expect the unexpected from now on. For the next 3 to 6 months, it's going to be like this. It's going to be times of uncertainty. It's going to be hopefully not shifting back from one to the other, but hopefully we'll stay in level 2, and there might be a level 2.3 and a 2.4. As we get through. Well, you're not allowed to go to cafes anymore because that hasn't worked, or we're not allowed to go to the casinos anymore because we're too close, or the pubs, we got drunk and hugged each other because we felt good about it, because that's what men like to do. We have a few beers, have a hug and go. So there might be some more rules. So expect the unexpected.
Yes.
The only thing we can do is control one thing. That's ourselves.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, I've pretty much been saying that since the beginning. We control the controllables. That's pretty much ourselves and whatever's going on in our bubble, I guess. So it is going to be an interesting time.
Yeah, it is. It is. I'm just hoping that we can get back to presenting, because I do like standing in front of people. Like, we've got the full facility here, and I've got a camera that moves with me, and it's a conference camera. I can zoom in and out, and we've got whiteboards and all that. But it's just not the same.
No, exactly.
Seeing somebody put a thumb up on the side, it's like, it doesn't mean anything to me.
No,
I'd rather see a smile on a face, or even a scowl of going, that's not right. I'd rather see that than
100%.
than blank screens.
No, exactly. And I think I'm in the same boat with getting out back onto the building sites and seeing apprentices and builders and things like that. It is that connection. It is that face to face. Yeah, you might not be able to shake a hand or anything like high five or anything like that, but it's just it is that connection, that face to face time and things like that. So it's,
it is, and we were lucky enough to extend our bubble, and it was the most beautiful thing. The first extension of the bubble, I guess, was when we allowed our eldest daughter back with the grandkids, and it was just an amazing experience, absolutely amazing. And just last week, we extended it a little bit further to another member of our family, close member of our family, and able to grab him and give him a big hug. Here you go, mate. Yeah. It just makes your day.
Exactly. Day.
So, we will get back to that. We will get back to that. And it's just, you can hold your breath, have a hug, and then wash your hands. I don't know. It's going to be a different sort of a hug, but it's still
exactly. And I think this weekend will probably be the first time I've seen my parents in a long time, and
nice.
Take the wee guy around and things like that. My dad's had an operation on his hand since I last saw him. So it's like, you just, even though they're not that far away, it's like, geez, we've got to see them on Zoom and things. It's just not the same. It's just that.
It's not the same. My daughter lives just down the road, not 15 minutes down the road, but it's just having that ability to reach out. So, we celebrated. We went and did the wrong thing. We went and got takeaways. So we celebrated a birthday. We had an Easter egg hunt, and we had takeaways all on the same day. It was and we'll remember it. The kids will remember it forever.
Oh, exactly. And there are a lot of positives that have come out of this. A lot of positives. That's what we're so I'm going to hang on to. I mean, the time I've been able to see my wee guy grow and spend time with my wife and things like that it's fantastic. It's just, it is, you sort of slow down and declutter everything else that goes on, because you just get busy doing stuff. But when you are forced to stay and things like that, it just makes life, it just simplifies everything, and it makes it, you sort of, extremely thankful for
that's it. You look around, and we said that exact same thing this morning. The wife and I, we're sitting down and just, I think we're having breakfast, and I said, how lucky are we? We've got a house around us. The kids are safe. We don't want for anything. We haven't got, what we have got is what is comfortable. We live comfortably, but we're not flash. But we've got some nice, we've got a swimming pool if we want to, and, we don't. It's too cold. But, we've got things around us that and so we're safe where we are. But one of the things that I talk about, particularly with business, is now's the chance, if you want to make a change. Because if our brains are gonna struggle with change, let's make it now, and let's do it while we're in this uncertain time, so that when things do come right, the change is there and we don't have to. So trying to get back to the way we were is probably the wrong thing to do, in my opinion. I think you should be looking to try and look for, how can we do this a little bit differently? How can we connect differently? And it's a great opportunity for businesses that might have been going through a growth spurt or a regrowth or a rethink about the way they do things, to do it now. And so that in uncertain times, let's just, what's a little bit extra of uncertainty, provided we control. I don't want you to completely throw the baby out of the bathwater, as it says, but certainly look at doing things differently. And humans are great at adapting. I come back to that. And so how can we adapt our business to do it differently or do it better? And think, who would have thought that you'd be able to replace taxis? Who would have thought that you'd be able to replace hotels? No one. Exactly. And so we've got Airbnb, and we've got Uber and all those sorts of things, and who would have thought that Uber could go and pick up some food for you?
Yeah, exactly.
So it's about that, thinking differently, and I think that's a great opportunity now. We're doing it. We're looking at it as many ways as we can of getting the business growth going. So how do we do that? Well, let's do a little bit there, a little bit there, a little bit there. Stay to our true values, stay to what our role is, but how can we diversify it and deliver it in different ways? And that's what everyone's doing today, and I think it's a great opportunity.
Certainly is. It's probably a good time to wind up as well.
Yeah.
Thank you once again for your time. It's been brilliant to catch up, and I'm sure everyone that watches this will take some good snippets out of it. And if anyone does have any questions or anything like that, just drop them at the bottom in the reply section, and we can answer them. And thank you once again, and take care.
It's been my real pleasure, Craig, and thank you for the opportunity. And that's great that we've finally connected, and maybe we could meet in person one day. Wouldn't that be a treat?
Sounds good to me.
Take care. Thanks so much.